Welcome to this week's Game News Show. We're going to be talking about some Pokemon stuff, some Call of Duty stuff, and then Sony's next console might have leaked. Maybe we knew it existed, but honestly, leaks are just the norm these days. But let's get into the latest game news, starting off with Master Chief coming to Rainbow Six Siege with his a skin for the Sledge character. There's this nice little video. It's a little less than a minute of just some of the animations. I'm gonna jump ahead because they are pretty cool. I mean, like, it's pretty legit looking, not gonna lie. It's cool to see Chief showing up in other games. You know, Xbox and Ubisoft seem to be real chummy lately, so everybody's still waiting on like the Ubisoft Plus subscription to just come to Game Pass. But it's a pretty sweet looking skin. I like the crossover. I really hope they bring, I don't know what that was about to do, but it made a loud noise. I really hope they bring the Chief skin back to Fortnite and maybe like do some other, you know, shooter seasonal game collabs, like games as a service collabs like this. Would be awesome. But yeah, so that's cool. I think it's pretty neat. All right, let's move on to the next thing. We've got Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is something I've been looking forward to, has gone gold and is releasing a whole week early. So it'll now start on October 5th instead of the next week. Super cool to see. I love when games get pushed up because they're just ready. And I hope that's the case here. I hope we don't have like some weird bugged launch or something weird that just doesn't, you know, makes the game not fun. So good on the team at Ubisoft for being able to get this out. Everybody, I think, is pretty hyped for this because it's not a giant open world RPG. And the classic Assassin's Creed structure was fantastic. And I'm excited to see the modern take on it. I think everybody is. So good on the team. Excited to play this in October. All right, moving on. Netflix. This comes from Dexerto. Netflix launches first games in beta playable on TVs, PC, and mobile. And this is weird. I mean, Netflix has definitely been making a lot of investments in games, but you can see this screenshot here. I'll zoom in a little bit, maybe make it a little bigger. So in the screenshot here, you can already see where my complaints will come in. This mobile device situation here with on-screen controls, very simple, very straightforward setup. But I don't want to use a touchscreen analog stick or buttons because I don't know where they are. I lose them when I play. Call of Duty Mobile and Fortnite Mobile were kind of the reasons that I liked having a Bluetooth or some kind of controller on my phone, right? Because I don't want to touch the screen to aim. I don't want to touch the screen for like a joystick. I'd rather just have a physical controller. And I'm not the only one feeling that way, but this may work well enough for most people to try it. And I mean, if you have a Netflix subscription, it looks like it's no charge yet. I'd imagine there will be a tier as they add more games. But this is pretty cool. Skimming through the article, it's rolling out to selected subscribers in Canada and the UK on August 15th. So that's now at the time of the recording. There's 2 games can be available up front: Oxenfree and Molehue's Mining Adventure. No idea what that is, but I know what Oxenfree is, so maybe it'll work well. I believe there's a bunch more on the way, and there are also a handful, it's quite a few Netflix games on app stores where you just log in with your Netflix account once you download the app. So it's kind of neat that Netflix is expanding. We knew they were coming for cloud gaming. So now Microsoft's going to compete with Netflix directly in the gaming front in this way. And it's pretty interesting. I'm excited to see where this goes and what this means with like Stadia not being in the mix anymore. We might actually see some like good developments in cloud gaming, but I don't see it replacing a physical piece of hardware to play games on just yet. Internet's not near enough good in the United States for that to catch on, just on average, right? But I think it's cool. It's going to be neat to see. So if you've got a Fire TV, a Chromecast with Google TV, LG, NVIDIA Shield, Roku, Samsung Smart TVs, and then other stuff will be added. So it'll be neat to see where this goes and how this will pan out. very much looking forward to seeing what happens across the entire cloud space with Sony entering, testing PS5 game streaming on top of Microsoft having trouble keeping sessions open for gamers on xCloud. It's just across the board. Cloud gaming isn't going away, so might as well at least see what it has to offer. This will be cool to test out if I can test it out soon. Obviously, I'm in the US, so I won't get this first test, but we'll see impressions and stuff from other people. All right, moving on. Let's talk about Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 3 reveal event, dates, leaks, and Warzone 2 stuff. Okay, so the reason I pulled this up is because there's a whole lot of leaks and stuff going on. And in this, somewhere, I came across, it probably wasn't this article. There's stuff about the minimap returning to how it used to work and a bunch of other stuff. But people were surprised that this was launching as a full $70 game. I go, it's Activision. It's got a new number behind it. Of course it was launching at $70. There's no reason it wouldn't have launched at $70. The other thing I was going to bring up was it's rumored to have every Modern Warfare 2 launch map, which is quite a few maps remastered. I might pick this up. I wanted to pick up Modern Warfare 2 for the just team deathmatch stuff. I didn't get it because I didn't play the original Modern Warfare near enough to justify buying the second one. And it's a whole thing. You buy a game, and if you don't play it, why would you get the sequel? But Modern Warfare 3 having a ton of good maps, and Modern Warfare 2, classic Modern Warfare 2 maps, I might get in on this early. I'm not good at Call of Duty, but I do enjoy playing it from time to time. So getting in on the team deathmatch here would be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's the Call of Duty news. A lot of excitement around this release, which surprises me because I felt like people were really disappointed with Modern Warfare 2. But there's a whole lot coming, and it's gonna be good to see. So if you are looking forward to this, there's a lot of good rumors to eat on. Again, they're rumors, don't know how true they are, but I think the map thing might be pretty accurate. Anyway, all right, let's talk about some Pokemon stuff. This is where we get into the meat of this week's episode. With all the announcements from the Pokemon Presents we had last week, Pokemon launched, it dropped a trailer all of a sudden for Part 2, the Indigo Disc. That wasn't a part of the Pokemon Presents, but it featured a bunch of, the starters from all of the past games up to Sun and Moon, right? So all of the starters will be catchable in Part 2 of the Scarlet and Violet DLC, which is very awesome. I'm very much looking forward to this. But this trailer just kind of dropped. I didn't even see an announcement for it. So it's weird, but I'm looking forward to this aspect because, hey, you'll get all the starters and not have to go and jump through hoops. Trading is fine. I don't mind trading for starters. But a lot of times in the past, it had been difficult to get, especially Gen 1, to get all the starters without a friend that had a copy of the game, or at least a second or third Game Boy that could just kind of shuffle things around for you, right? So it's nice to not have to do that any further. I'm looking forward to being able to catch all the starters. Fair Alligator, Totodile coming back, my boy. Gen 2 is one of my favorite gens, so I'm really excited for that. And then, just the fact that all of these Pokemon will be available in this game is very cool. But let's move on to the big Pokemon news. I thought this was worth talking about extensively on this week's episode, and that is Pokemon Company. This is from Go Nintendo. Pokemon Company pondering how to ensure quality of Pokemon games while keeping up their release cadence. So I think this is a wake-up call for Pokemon Company, maybe for Game Freak. But I think the way Scarlet and Violet has launched, which this article goes into a little bit, and the reception, the game sells really well, but I don't think Game Freak can get away with putting out that same quality for the next full release. I think they've got to figure out how to put out the next new gen or remake, could be the remake, but the next new gen without all of the issues and graphical complaints, and just the way Scarlet and Violet launched was not acceptable. And as much as I love the game, I'm playing it again, trying to finish up the Pokedex, I'm still playing it almost a year later. A lot of people are loving the competitive side. There's a lot of good stuff, right? But there's just some glaring flaws, and there's just some things that should not be excused, even for Pokemon, even for Nintendo. I don't understand it. But so let's get to what I was going to talk about with this, though. The fact that it launched this way now has the Pokemon Company looking internally and going, hey, how can we keep up with the release schedule? They have a lot of projects working at the same time. The Pokemon Company manages not only the games, side games, anime, trading card games, toys. They're managing all of this. So they've got to keep all of that in sync. That's a lot to manage. But as big as this company is, the backing they have, they're cemented as the largest or most valuable franchise right now. Like, not just gaming franchise, but the most valuable franchise on planet Earth. So how would they solve this? Well, honestly, and I don't know if it's just a difference in like culture. We see Activision leaning on 4 different studios or more for annual Call of Duty releases. You see 343 at Microsoft leaning on other studios for different parts of Halo. It shouldn't be a surprise anymore that you need outside help. You can't just have your core group of devs work on the thing as the thing gets bigger. And so what I think Pokemon Company should have done with Scarlet and Violet especially is lean on some of their Nintendo pull. Like, ask for help. Pull in some of the second party studios that Nintendo has that can, help optimize the games. I mean, you have Tears of the Kingdom that, it gets a little framey, but looks phenomenal. It's a Switch game. It looks fantastic. And then you have Pokemon that's supposed to be like also up there in quality, and it's a very different experience. Now, art styles can be different, but there's no reason that some of the technical details, right, had to look as bad as they did. So I think the solution here is fairly obvious. Why doesn't Nintendo lean on third-party support? Why don't they, or Pokemon Company, why don't they lean on third-party support? Nintendo has already done this. Pokemon Company did this with the Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl release. They didn't directly make that remake. They outsourced it to another company. You've got Mercury Steam working on Metroid games. It's a valid strategy, and it gets some fresh faces in there to do different things. But even if you don't put them in charge of any like creative decision making, hire just some very technical developers, your problem is solved. You can get higher quality output. You can keep up with the release schedule by just it's going to cost a little more, but gaming is already an expensive thing anyway. Like, it shouldn't be surprising that you're going to have to go this route. Just as things get bigger, the demands get bigger. If the next Switch were to be 4K, which is, it's a reasonable expectation, I think, this would not fly. The way Scarlet and Violet looked, it would not fly. So all of that just boils down to they need to lean on outside help, and they need to do it sooner rather than later. So it's weird to me, and it's a very Nintendo thing that they're just a few steps behind like the rest of the industry in this like very specific aspect. But it's beyond time for the Pokemon Company to lean on these outside studios to help make the mainline games as good as they can be. So that's enough ranting. Anyway, back to the rest of the article here. They just talk about, the quote from the chief operating officer of the Pokemon Company was, I think in general, if you look at the path we've taken up until now has been this constant release, always regularly releasing products on a fairly fixed kind of cadence. You might say, always having these products able to be introduced and new experiences for our customers. And that's how we operated up until now. I think we're still operating in that way, but there's more and more conversations as the development environments change about how we can continue to do this while making sure that we're ensuring really quality products are also being introduced. I just think the only way to maintain that is to bring in help. I'm not the end all be all on this. It's just my opinion, obviously. I think that goes without saying. But there's your solution, man. Like, just lean on other expertise to get the results you want. That's what good leadership is. That's how many other gaming companies operate. It's just time to go with the flow, Pokemon Company. There's no need to be all in-house with all of this. All right, let's move on to our last couple of stories. These are kind of brief. So, you guys may have seen this. Last week, we got a look at what may be unconfirmed, but may be the PS5 Slim here on Twitter, thanks to courtesy of BWE. He's holding a case for what could be the redesigned PS5 with the removable disk drive add-on. Now, this is just an empty case, so it's a very light piece of hardware. It doesn't have anything in it, no internals. But this is what it'll look like, which a lot of people are like, well, we have a ton of questions. Is it smaller? Is it thinner? Do the plates still come off? Can you still customize those? And let's just take like a few seconds to look at this. These side plates, I'd be willing to bet that the top pieces no longer come off, or they only come off completely on the side without the disk drive. And then on the disk drive side, that disk drive plate comes off for the detachable disk drive, but it's probably going to be part of the disk drive. Just an assumption. I would think it would work that way. I would hope that it would still be fully customizable and that you could buy like new sets of plates to completely change the look of the thing. But this is going to be interesting because of all the, especially with the Spider-Man 2 limited edition stuff. Like, if this comes out, next year, which it likely will, that is going to go up in value a whole lot. So I hope you got your hands on it if you wanted it, because this is going to be another like totally different piece of hardware as far as that goes. And so that won't be like compatible with it at all, especially with that gap in it. Like, it's just gonna be totally different. Now, according to this guy, it's a little shorter, but not really any thinner than the current PS5, which you can kind of see just the dimensions of it. Also, curiously, it's got two USB-C port cutouts on the front instead of a USB-A and C. And so, if the rumors are to be believed, if all of this, we may see an announcement. We've got Gamescom next week. We may see an announcement there, but I would think Sony would maybe push that announcement later in the year. They don't want to announce new hardware right before the holiday season, because that might make people not want to buy PlayStations at Christmas time. So, unless they're planning on to launch it like November, which they could, this could be ready to go. We don't know. We have no confirmation. But if they do announce it, I don't think it would be before the end of the year, or maybe right after Christmas. They would drop something. Maybe January. Sony's gonna do things their way. I think January, if they did a state of play, that would be how they do it, honestly. But seeing these leaks and stuff is kind of interesting. I want to know more about how this removable disk drive works and what the intentions are with it, because it's a cool idea, and I would get a PS5 and then add the disk drive on, but probably leave it off most of the time. Like, I think that's what I would do. Unless it's like something that has to be like secured in and it's a complicated exchange thing. But I like the slimmer look of the diskless or the all digital PS5. I just think it looks better. But anyway, all right, moving on. Let's get to our last news story. Xbox introduces enforcement strike system for responsible gaming. This came out today. Let's read the summary. Xbox's new enforcement strike system educates players about enforcement severity, cumulative effect of multiple enforcements, and the total impact on their standing. Players can receive a total of 8 strikes. Each strike remains on record for 6 months. Each strike results in a suspension from Xbox's social features for varying lengths of time. Every player will begin with a blank slate or 0 strikes. Previous enforcements must still be completed. So if you're currently banned, you got to finish out the ban. It's just the nature of things. Okay, so they explain in more detail. Here's a nice little graphic that you probably can't see. It's really hard for me to see, to be honest. I would need to zoom in a lot to be able to get this going. But all this explains is that if you get a strike and then you get another strike, then you have 2 strikes. And it just explains basic math. And then as time goes on, those strikes get removed. If you get a strike, you get banned for a day. You get your second strike, you get banned for a day. You get your third strike, you get banned for 3 days. And it's just an escalating number until you get 8. Then you get banned for a year. That's an entire year from like being able to play online, being able to jump into party chats, like any of the social features on Xbox do not happen this way. It's interesting. I'm worried about how automated this is going to be, and are they listening to voice chats and voice comms? And then how does that work for like cross-platform? Like if somebody cusses at me on PlayStation, would that, that hopefully wouldn't accidentally trigger something? But I think it's all valid concerns. I like the enforcement standards. What I don't like is stuff like, okay, I don't swear. I stay away from it. I'm family friendly. I don't use that language, and that's a very, very important thing to me. And I don't like to be cussed at on Xbox. But I think banning people for profanity is weird when you sell games that use language way worse than well, not oftentimes way worse, but about as bad as what you hear in game chats anyway. It just seems a little backwards to me. And this has come from somebody who doesn't like hearing it in the first place. I actively try to avoid hearing it in games that I happen to like. I actively try to avoid games that like lean on profanity in their scripts, because it's just like I don't enjoy hearing that a whole lot. And it's harder to play with like kids in the room and stuff like that. So all that boils down to it's an interesting approach. The strike system may work, it may not. I think you're gonna have a lot of kids saying horrible things get banned and not know how to deal with it. Hopefully there's like a pop-up notification or something that's like, hey, you've been banned for a day. Hey, good, go chill out, go touch grass, kid. Why are you getting mad? Don't get so tilted that you start dropping F-bombs to like fellow 30-year-olds who are just trying to chill after a long day of work. Anyway, I don't want to get onto another rant. But that does it for this week's game news. If you are watching live, we're about to switch to something. Probably Pokemon. We'll see. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to leave a like on the video. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. Let me know what you think about the possibility of Pokemon Company adjusting their release schedule. What does that mean to you? And do you think the PS5 Slim has been leaked? Do you think that video was authentic? Let me know down in the comments. And we'll just see you soon. We stream live on Tuesday and Thursday mornings on YouTube, and the rest of the time, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings over on Twitch. So be sure to come check us out. Check me out there. It's just me in chat. So anyway, yeah, be sure to drop by. Thanks for watching. I'm going to play video games now. See you later.